Hi guys, how are you? Today is Lizzie again, and I'm so grateful that I'm here again doing something very special that you guys have actually demanded me to do. I know it has taken quite some time because I had to do a lot of research on this, and also to be sure that before I come outside here and give you this information, I am sure that it is truthful. So I know we've been there've been so much speculation with there's a visa coming out for the support workers. They can move to Australia on a permanent residency, and now this is the time. It has been there has been so much going on where the government wanted to formulate this kind of visa so that people can move from overseas to come and work here, to kind of fill the shortage that we are having in our aged care industries and disabilities industry here in Australia. So saying this, I have actually done a lot of research, and I think this is the time. This is the time that if you're working there, some of people tell me that they're working in Dubai, they're working in Africa, some are working in other countries, and they want to move here and work as a caregiver. So this is the time because we now already have all the information that we are here to give it to you. Okay, without further ado, let's get into this. Guys, in case you're dropping here for the first time, my name is Lizzie. I live in South Australia, and most of the time I'm outside here talking about Australian visa and just talking about the life here and so many other information related to living here in Australia. So this will be high time. If you want to join our family, press the subscription button, maybe just give me a thumbs up. Let me know where you're watching me from. Let me know what you think I should improve on. That is how you can actually support me. Anyway, let's get into the business. So the aged care labor agreement, this is the agreement of memorandum that the aged care and some unions and the government, there are three people here that have come together to come and form up a memorandum to formulate all these special visas opportunity to help some of you guys who are living overseas to come move here in Australia to work in this shortage laborer space. So yeah, we are having a very massive labor shortage in the sector of caregiving, and it's been so much happening since COVID. So previously people have been moving here through the 482 visas, that is the work visas, but now they have come up with a special visa where you can move here just to work in a aged care, in a disability, in a community setting, as a nursing assistant. This is the time. So we will be talking of two parts. The first part is the general information about this visa, and then the second part will be more of the skill assessment, because for you to be able to move here in Australia to work in this special field of providing care assistance, then you need to meet some positive skill assessment, which we will see it later on in this video. Just to clarify up with you guys, the video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to tackle 2 points just at a go. I don't want to take a lot of time. Let's just get into this so we can see how quickly it can go. So the special pathway for carers to Australia through the labor agreement, it will be a permanent visa. So you can move here, and after 2 years you'll apply for PR, permanent residency. So that is the juicy part of it. And when we're talking this, for those who are working in Australia at the moment, you've been working in aged care sector maybe for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years, for the last 6 years, for the last 2 years, we are also referring to you, because what is going to happen is this is cutting across. We will need to source carers who are within Australia, and if some aged cares and this organization cannot find people locally, then they will have to get people from overseas to come and work here. Okay, so this can be anyone. You too in Australia who maybe has been working in this field, you can also go ahead and apply for your permanent residency. Just check with the organization that you're working with. Just check if they have the labor agreement. Okay, also maybe this is the time just to remind them in case they are not well informed of what is happening outside here. All right, so let's get into this. So to start with, wow, the labor agreement is focusing on only 3 sorts of careers that are related into the care role. Okay, so the first one is nursing support worker. That is the first one. If you're a nursing support worker, maybe in your country, in overseas, we're talking about you. If you're a personal care worker, or if you're aged carer, or you are disability carer. When you're talking about these are people who work directly in providing services to people living either with disability or people who are old. So if you've been living working in sort of this role, then this is you. So these are the only opportunities that have been stipulated in this agreement. Okay, so that is what you need to know. The second part of this is it is, I know some people just did maybe certificate 3. Even in my country, I normally say before I moved here, I did my certificate 3 back in my country, and when I moved here, I was already work ready, and it was so easy for me to navigate around and just get a job, because there's some schools that actually provide education and trainings that meets Australian requirement. So whatever you study there meets exactly the requirements that are here in Australia. Just the difference that you will need to study there. And also back in my country, we are impressing so much in providing cares to the older people and the people living in disability. This has come up, and most of people are impressing it. Some of the organization, private companies, churches have opened up, places where they provide these kind of roles. So this is something that is also growing, and that is why I keep on telling people you can proceed and do this care certificate in wherever you are in your country. Make sure you go for placement. Make sure you are all well trained. Make sure whatever you're studying makes sense in case you're to move outside here. All right, so those are the 3 people that this labor agreement is talking about. So what else do we need to know? We need to know that you need to have 2 years full-time work experience. In case maybe you've been living here in Australia, you need at least to have worked for 2 years, or maybe you need to work for 2 years before you apply for the permanent residency. You are 2 years period. You will have to, the way you prove that you've been working for 2 years definitely is to provide for pay slips. Okay, and maybe a letter from the company where you've been employed and stuff like that. All right, so what we've said here again, you need to hold a certificate 3 in either aged care or disability. Some people call it individual support, some people call it caregiving certificate. At least hold the minimum of that. Or maybe if maybe you did not do that sort of a training, then what you will need to do is that you will need to provide 12 months of the work experience. So let's say you just landed a job somewhere and you've been working in this caregiving role. You will need to provide evidence to show that you've been working for the last 12 months. Okay, you have an experience of working in this caregiving role. All right, so another thing is you need to obtain positive skill assessment. As I said previously, we will talk about the skill assessment part and how you can actually do the skill assessment before you need to have a positive skill assessment for you to proceed and look for this sort of job. I know in my previous videos, on other videos here on my YouTube, I've discussed about this, and again, I will leave a link of how of the bodies that we will be using to get the positive skill assessment. So at this point, I know we have 2 bodies that are doing skill assessment. Okay, accrediting centers or organization or companies or you know, that are going to provide the skill assessment. So one of it is Aqua. I will leave a link here for Aqua, and I'll make sure the next part, don't leave, make sure you follow up to the end so that you can see everything that is included in this video. So we have Australian Community Workers Association, that is Aqua. We also have Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council, that is ANMAC. So ANMAC and Aqua are the only two accrediting bodies that are going to provide skill assessment for anyone looking forward to moving here through this program. Okay, so that is another part that you need to understand best, because you cannot just apply for work without a skill assessment. So another thing is with this special visa, you need to obtain at least a 5.0 English. Okay, so 5.0 English, that is IELTS. They have not, if you go to the Home Affairs, Home Affairs page of where they're discussing about aged care and labor agreement, they've only mentioned about the IELTS. So moving forward, I think what we need to do is we need to, okay, I will give some other two more information so that we get into the website, and then I will bring the laptop so that you guys can see what I'm doing and what I'm talking about, so that we can be in the same page. So another thing that you guys need to know is with the ANMAC, if you go to ANMAC labor agreement, you will see everything about the skill assessment and how to apply, but you need to pay for some fees. You will need to pay for $545 for you to have your skill assessment done through the ANMAC. So again, if you need to do your skills through Aqua, you will need to pay $595 for your skills to be done through Aqua. From here, let's get to the next part. The next part is I'll be carrying you through, I'll be showing you through on the website on how we are going to navigate from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 until we finish. Thank you so much. If you're new here, just give it a thumbs up. If you're an old person here, just give it a thumbs up. Just encourage me to keep on doing this, because to be honest, you are the reason why I keep on doing this. Thank you. Let's come together and let's do this. This is a official migration Home Affairs page. Directly we go to the skilled migration program. This is where you look for all sort of skilled information. That is, if you're looking to come to work to Australia, and immediately you go into the recent changes, you will come across this. Okay, I'll make sure I leave a link so that you guys can come and see what I'm talking about. So I will read it. Australian aged care provider can now apply to access the new aged care industry labor agreement. The aged care industry labor agreement streamlines the recruitment of qualified direct care workers from overseas to work in aged care sectors. Employers can use this where appropriately qualified Australians are not available. To access this labor agreement, employers must first enter into Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the relevant industry unions. Okay. The purpose of Aged Care Industry Labor Agreement, you can use the Aged Care Industry Labor Agreement to 1. Sponsor overseas workers for the temporary skills shortage in direct care occupations such as nursing support workers, personal care assistant, aged or disabled carer. You need to have made recent and genuine attempts to recruit workers from the domestic workforce pool. They're talking about before they try to get people from overseas to come and work here, at least they need to demonstrate that they have tried to search and recruit people, who are within Australia without any effort. Sponsors from overseas worker for permanent residency under the Employer Nomination Scheme Subclass 186 visa program, workers must have at least 2 years of full-time work experience in Australia in a relevant direct care occupation. The 2 years of work experience is not tied to a particular employer or visa subclass. So what they mean here is if maybe you are living at this point in Australia and you've been working in an aged care, or you've been working as a nursing support worker, you've been working as a personal care assistant, you need at least to demonstrate that you have been working full-time for 2 years for you to be able to apply for 186 subclass, which is, I think, a permanent residency visa. So, yeah, applying for the aged care industry laborer agreement. So I don't think I will get into this much because this is more of the companies, the aged cares, that are getting into memorandum. But one thing you need to know is we have some unions that have come up and collaborated with the government and aged care to make this come into a reality. And these are Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation, there is Health Services Union, United Worker Union. So these are some of the unions that have come up to work together with the government and aged care industry to make this a reality. Okay, so aged care industry labor agreement terms and conditions. Concessions. Access the following concession to standard skilled visa requirement. So with what they're explaining here is more of what is expected, the condition, the terms and the condition. What are the expectations? Industry labor agreement terms and concessions. So accessing the following concessions to standard skilled visa requirement. The first one, 2 years pathway to permanent residency through the Employer Nomination Scheme. Streamlined visa nomination and priority visa application processing. No post-qualification work experience requirement. I know some people, you only have the certificate 3 and that's it. So you don't have any sort of previous experience. So if this is you, then you can see you do not need actually to provide any previous requirement in terms of to show your experience. English language concession for workers with relevant community languages. We will get into that soon. We will see what are the requirements in terms of what you need to provide your English. Annual salary for at least 51,222 Australian dollars. Oh, okay. Or market salary rate, whichever is higher. I don't think these... Okay, I'm yet to understand how these will work because I know previously they increased the TISMA to 71. Was it 71 or 70,000 threshold? So, yeah, I think this is something that they might have to review later. Yeah. So, the key visa application requirements. So, what are the requirements if you are looking to apply for this visa? What are the requirements? 1, key visa application requirement. Hold a relevant AQF certificate 3 or equivalent or higher qualification. You can also have 12 months of relevant work experience or part-time experience. Wow. So guys, if you have a certificate 3 or equivalent in in this kind of qualification of aged care, disability, nursing assistant, if you have certificate 3, you are good to go. If you don't have certificate 3 but you have a 12 months of relevant work experience or part-time in an equivalent role, then you are good to go. Because I am aware that some people, they work as caregivers without any qualification. They were trained and they just started working without any certificate. So if you have 12 months and you can demonstrate, then you're good to go. The second one is obtain a positive skill assessment from the Australian Nursing and Midwifery or the Accredited Council or the Australian Community Work Association if you obtain your qualification from overseas. Okay. This also applies if you claim work experience in lieu of formal qualification. Okay, so with this here, you need to at least have a positive skill assessment. I know on my previous video, I've been talking about how to apply for skill assessment. I've discussed in my previous video on how you as a nurse, you as a engineer, you as a social worker, whichever that career you have, I've always told you guys on how you can apply for positive skill assessment. So with aged care, with people who are working in disability, with people who are moving here to work in nursing assistant, these programs, then you need to provide positive skill assessment. Wow. Let's see. They've already provided two accrediting where they can, they have already provided two bodies where they can do your skill assessment, and this one is the Nursing Midwifery Accreditation Council, or the Australian Community Worker Association, that is ACWA. So those two will be focusing on this, and I'll make sure that I leave a link on this video to ensure that you can go and check how how you can submit your skill assessment. Okay. Have an English language proficiency level of at least 5.0, that is IELTS, or equivalent. Workers with targeted community language skill, employer bicultural and linguistically diverse. Aged care providers need at least IELTS 4.5 or equivalent. Okay, they have only mentioned the IELTS, so I don't know if other English assessing providers like PTE, TOEFL, and others, I don't know if they will accept them or what. I'm not so sure about that, but what they have pointed here is IELTS. So I think you'll stand a better position if you did IELTS and get at least 5 point something and above. That would be good. And when they say 5.0, sorry, can you try and get something extra so that you stand out? It is good if you can even get 7, that is excellent, but what they're asking here is just a 5 or equivalent. We will consider labor market testing requirement certify once aged care provider have entered into an MOU with the relevant unions. Thank you so much, guys, for being with me for all this duration of this video. I believe that this is going to be a life-changing video for people who have been asking me a lot about what to do. I believe this is a time that now you can find your way out to maybe moving to Australia to help people here in this field that we are having a very massive shortage. One thing you need to know, doing skill assessment and all that will not just guarantee you that you're going to get a job. In case you're living overseas, there's a procedure, there's a process that the employers need to follow for them to make sure that they are meeting the laws and regulations set in this sort of labor agreement. And I want to wish you well. I want to wish you really well as you look forward to applying this. Let me know maybe if you're applying for skill assessment, if there's something maybe you do not understand, you can reach me out on my WhatsApp number and just ask me for clarification. I'm a very busy person, but trust me, sometimes I create time just to come here and communicate to my people. Again, maybe if you're living back in my country and you want to do maybe this certificate 3, I can also guide you on where to do a certificate 3 in aged care and disability where it meets Australian requirement. Not all schools will provide you with trainings that meet Australian requirement. Some will provide you with trainings that just meet Kenyan requirement, but I can help you also, and I can guide you to enroll into a school that will help you to study trainings in aged care and disability that meets Australian requirement. Okay, saying this, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let your friends know that they can move to Australia through the care giving role. And this is just an informative platform where we share a lot and we discuss a lot. Until next time, keep in tuned. Keep in tuned. So much is happening. July 1st is here. We'll be talking about the work visas, the student visa, and so many other visas with the new regulation that is coming up and how you can actually move here. to Australia. Thank you so much.